Make no mistake, this is not just another episode of violence between Israelis and Palestinians. This is a paradigm-forming moment. It's a paradigm-forming moment for generations to come. Certainly in the Arab world, among Palestinians, among Israelis, among Muslim-majority countries, but I think beyond that, I think this is a paradigm-forming moment. And what I mean by that is, this is not like the ceasefire will come tomorrow and people will shift their views. The scale of horror that we have witnessed, both in Hamas's attack on Israel and obviously the Israeli bombings and operations in Gaza, have been so high, and the language has been so extreme that it is impossible that it is not impacting people's view of the conflict. And I think that particularly the view of the United States.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team.
It's hard to tell whether the Israeli posture is principally a negotiating posture to get the hostages released, or really they have made a decision essentially to go all the way in an attempt to destroy Hamas, and therefore, even if that means destroying Gaza, which obviously is what we see taking place, the administration, one can say the same thing, because I think what they have decided, obviously, is the stated aim of the United States is to support Israel in its aim to destroy Hamas. I think, honestly, I don't believe the Biden administration has carefully considered what that means. I think that now they're coming perhaps a little bit more to grips with it, which is, are you prepared to destroy all of Gaza? Are you you're prepared to have tens of thousands of casualties, as we already have in Gaza? Are you prepared to turn all of Gazans into refugees? That's one. What comes the morning after, even if it's possible to destroy the infrastructure of Hamas? What will happen to all the people who are going to be become militants after what happened to them vis-a-vis Israel and the United States, with the U.S. playing a role? And will this draw Hezbollah in? I think if in fact this continues for much longer, it'll be hard to keep them out. And if they're engaged, then it's likely the U.S. will get engaged, Iran will get engaged. So I think one of the things that the Biden administration does not seem to have taken into account is that, separate from helping Israel, as they did in the early days, that American interests are themselves at stake here, and that they are putting themselves on a slippery slope of escalation that no one can control, and certainly not the President of the United States. And we're getting close to that point. A month later, we're getting close to that point. At what point do you say enough is enough?
The idea of the Abraham Accords, that Israel could make deals with various Arab governments, and that they just weren't interested in the Palestinian issue anymore, that they could cooperate despite whatever differences they might have. That, I think, has been shattered. That obviously the nature of the conflict is something, I think, that Arab public opinion simply can't ignore, and hence Arab governments can't ignore. And the interesting thing, of course, is that Western public opinion as well has become much more critical of Israel than I've seen in any of its previous conflicts. The one thing that could possibly diffuse this would be if we had a UN-sponsored administration of both Gaza and the West Bank. They would have to move in peacekeeping forces from a number of countries, and they basically take over the administration of these territories. But I have a feeling that neither Hamas nor the Israeli government would be of a mind to accept this. But I personally think that is the solution.
And we have the relentless, unending, unceasing, intense bombardment that every day leads to hundreds of civilians, children's bodies being piled up. And more of Gaza turn to pure devastation. The world must urgently act to prevent further mass atrocities. The alarm bell could not be any louder, coming from the UN, from human rights organizations, humanitarian organizations. We have reached a depth of darkness that we simply haven't seen, is unprecedented, and there's a real risk of descending further and further. Equal degree of priority would be to immediately allow basic services and aid into Gaza. The Israeli government could today flick the switch and turn on electricity and provide water to families. Yes, infrastructure has been damaged, but the network is still there. The amount of aid being let in, we're talking about just a trickle, a small percentage of the need of the population. There must urgently be medicines, food. You cannot hold an entire civilian population responsible for the acts of individual fighters. That is collective punishment. It is a war crime. It must end. On the Israeli side, you still have society reeling from the heinous October 7th attacks that, according to the Israeli government, have left around 1,400 people killed. You had Hamas-led gunmen opening fire on crowds, going into people's homes and firing and burning homes down. You have more than 240 people taken hostage, including older people and children. So you have a situation where civilians are suffering, where people are paying the price for the actions of armed forces and armed groups that have for years carried out armed attacks with impunity. The starting point has to be to deal with the urgent situation on the ground, end the bombardment, allow basic services and aid into Gaza. But unless we deal with root causes, including impunity for unlawful attacks, Israel's apartheid against Palestinians, the prolonged closure, the denial of the right of return to the Palestinian refugees who make up the majority of Gaza's population, we will only continue to see rounds of escalations, killing, bloodshed, and slaughter. We must address root causes and impunity for unlawful attacks.
תקשיבי טוב, כל האזור הזה פה, הורידו הכל.
Last night it was Jabalia.
Yes.
Still.
It's crazy.
قصدي بدي اصور فوتو اروح الف من هناك. بدي تصور
هذه ايدك قول انا عيان والله عيان طلع يا
شفنا الذل من يوم ما جينا هذا.
ومش كنا نعمل جيب لك اياها
كويسة.